Hey, what's going on, YouTube? I'm going to go ahead and do a weekly review and see if we can figure out where the market's going to go for the next week. We're going to start with the dollar. See on a daily, pushing up against previous lows, closed above the 13 and the 8, knocking out a bottom. So I'm looking at this, thinking it's going to go higher or come down and make a higher low. We'll see how it opens, but previous lows are between 94 and 95 for the first target, upwards onto 95.50, the previous lows. Looking at a weekly, looks more like a bearish retracement, so we'll see. Closing below next week, 93 is going to be pretty bad for the dollar. See if this is going to retrace all the way into previous lows, into the 95 area, which would be the target on the daily. It did close 50% less than the previous candle, so in all likelihood it's still bearish. Just to see how it's closing for the month so far. See the bounce there. Again, up to 95 is the first resistance. On a monthly, the 8 has not crossed the 13 yet. Ultimate goal on a bearish move is inwards around 90, which is this meeting line. So time will tell, is this a bearish retracement or knocking out a bottom? See. S&P on a daily closed below the 34 as the 8 is crossing down on the S&P. So a lot of resistance on the upside, but we did have a nice bounce off of previous lows support. Looks like a bearish retracement back to the line. See it happens, bouncing back from 260 to 2060. So we'll see what happens on a daily. On a weekly, as we all know, it's still bouncing off support, but it is below our lower highs. And it looks like it tapped that resistance and bounced back. But making this spinning, long-legged spinning top, it bounced off the 13 and the 8. So see if it wants to come down to 2000, which is major support. See if it'll break down. But the Dow in the opposite on a weekly, but on a daily it's doing the same thing. This could be an intermediate bottom, as the weekly shows it definitely still above support. So see what happens. You can see the bounce right off support, right off the 8. But in order for this to become bearish, it needs to close below 8 and 13, onwards down. Looks like we've got support at 17.15. But things look bearish. I think the S&P has a little bit more pull, but the bounce is not clear yet. Much of an indecision last week. Hitting lows, bouncing off resistance, doing the whole thing in 1 week. The Dow basically just bouncing off of support 8 and the trend line. So we'll see what happens how we open. Crude bouncing off support, closing above. We got this inverted hammer, or depending on where you are in the chart, a falling star. If this is a top, it's a falling star. If it's a inverted hammer, closing above for the week, looks like that falling star has failed so far. It did last week hit below the falling star, confirming it, but it certainly just bounced right back up, not confirming anything yet. It is actually right now on a daily confirming that it's a inverted hammer right off the support. Weekly, looks like a little bit bullish retracement still. Could have some more consolidation. Looks likely, as it's having trouble breaking into this previous lows, previous highs. On a weekly though, we're running off this double bottom, ran across the 34, bullish retraced, and pop. Look for more consolidation. It is in and around support and resistance, so it's a little breaking into the previous lows, trying to break into previous highs. Looks like at 54 would be a nice area to be above if this thing wants to turn bullish. But on a longer term, you can see maybe a reverse head and shoulders. We'll need to make a right shoulder in this range to be able to gain some speed and break out again. So it looks like we need to consolidate, making a right shoulder. Right shoulders can take really fast steps, like a 1-2 punch, or I could do like silver did and just consolidate over the 34 for weeks. So we'll see what happens. Just look for previous high breaks and look for previous low breaks into support. So we'll see what happens. Silver had a nice close. Close below or above support on the EMA 8. Definitely closing and bouncing off of the previous high. Next week, I'd like to see it get above 1770. That way we can start making another run for the highs at 18. But a little bit high or low on the daily. Just a tiny bit, not by much. You can call it a double bottom. Double bottom on silver. So look for a double bottom break down if it wants to go that route. Potentially, we have a long way to go for major support at 1650. 1650, you could probably find support at 50% of this candle, and then onwards to previous lows, which would be the 34. This can take weeks, and just consolidate, stair step, stair step, stair step, or since we just had a fresh breakout, this could be just a quick consolidation. So look for a close on a daily above 1770, breaking and using the previous high as support, or look for a double bottom breakdown, 1722. Weekly, As we all know, the breakout at 16. The run-up, the retracement last week came well below the 50% rule, but closed. I think 15% of this candle was 1741 or something like that. So we closed above 50% of the candle, damn near a previous high support. Again, 1770, we want to break that previous high. Stay above these two previous highs. Look for any bullish moves. Just so we're on this subject, let's look at a 5-hour. It looks like a bounce. Look for a move above this trend line. Looks probable. Still looks bullish. Had a little retrace. 60 minutes. Looks pretty nice. We did have a push. And then a consolidation again. It looks like another reverse head and shoulders. Pushing back. We got this 2-bar pattern. Piercing the 50% rule. Off of a double bottom. On a 60-minute. Boom. Boom. Just like clockwork. Right over the 34. Just want to close above and stay above previous highs, using our 8 and the 13 as support levels. So we got on a 60-minute, we've got lots of layers of support. Hopefully we can use that support to move higher. Silver's a fresh breakout, so little retracement is very healthy. On a monthly so far, we're still above our 34. Ultimately, we want to stay above and consolidate this 34 on a monthly. Looks like the 8 has just crossed. On a monthly, the 8 is crossing the 34. The 8 breaking previous highs, as we can use that as support. 16 is a major support line. This can definitely come down in the next month into 16 and bounce. But we want to stay above the 34. And on the short terms, it looks healthy. It looks likely. Maybe we can get run to 20 and consolidate back to the 34. Depends on what's going on, how we open, what kind of sentiment we have moving forward. Definitely a break of 18 is going to be a nice push. Breaking that previous high, last month's high, making new highs for this month would be awesome. Gold just took a short step down, closed above previous highs, bounced right off that 8 and 13. Boom. Look for previous high breaks. Looks like it's going to make a run for the 13, which would be just great to see. You can see on a 5-hour, the long push and then the retracement. Looks like it's above, closing above 50% of that candle. So, see if we can move higher. 13's the break. Probably once it starts above this previous high here, use that as support and see what happens. Looks nice. Again, on the monthly, you can see that 8 coming across the 34 here shortly, probably by next month. We've got plenty of support at 12 between, so we're in this this little trading pattern between 12 and 13. Previous high breaks. Here's a previous high at 1304, 1305. Breaking in the previous lows, you got 1327, 1350. Probably ride that wick all the way up. Right where we want to be at 1475. See if we can get there. Looks good. Even though this has been down for months, it looks like from here it's been accumulated. And we know that morning star reverse head and shoulders just broke. That right shoulder took a 1-2 punch. Looks like it's going to go higher. Looks like the momentum is in. Just wait for the through time, the 8 and the 13 to cross. Looks great. Gold looks great. It might take a couple months, few months to get to 1475. I think I called 5 months, but this is likely to make a nice punch all the way up. 14 is going to be hard to get through, but there you go. Copper got pulled down quite a bit, but it's still above the higher low trend line. I'm looking for some kind of recovery this week, but it's kind of like a double reverse head and shoulders. Here's a reverse head and shoulders. Pop. Here's another reverse head and shoulders. Look for a previous high break at 230. Breaking into the previous lows all the way up to 250 and up. Looks like 260 is a nice goal to have on copper. Look for recovery. See how this opens? It was pulled down quite. You can tell it's just pulled down. Not out of the woods yet. Could definitely break down, especially on when you're looking at a monthly. Got a lot of work to do. A lot of work. Previous high break at 230. Want to get above 230 on any kind of push up, but that's lots of higher lows coming through, bouncing off. We need to close above the 8 and 13. We need to consolidate up here so we can move higher to the ultimate goal. And it hasn't reached the other side of that since it broke down. Here's a bearish retracement. Broke down, bearish retracement. A lot of work to do on copper, but like I said, on a weekly, looks like a dually reverse head and shoulders. So anything can happen. This is kind of a steep line too. Could definitely just slice through here, make a different lower high, like it often does. So 193.94 would be the double bottom area if it wants to come down that low. But I'm thinking maybe it makes a lower high at 2, changing the pattern up. Being that this is closed on a weekly on its lows. So let's see here. Let's go lower. Let's do a 5 hour and see where we're at. Looks like a consolidation so far, 5 hours. So it did close on its lows, or close to it, but it is on a 5 hour, it closed at a higher low. So see if we can get a push out of copper. GDX, pretty volatile. Look at all those gaps. Hate to day trade this. We got gaps, retraced, gaps, retraced. We got another gap. See if it might want to retrace. Previous high break at 26 on the daily. Definitely above support. Those gaps are support, so it's got nice support at 24.30. But want to stay above this previous high on the 13 on a daily. Might scratch the surface below 24. We've got support at 23.80 and the gap at 24.27. It may try to break that 26 level, but you can see the retracement and the close. Very nice close on GDX as it came all the way down to the previous high at 23. This may need some time to consolidate, but it looks like it's very close to previous high break, 26 or so. Came all the way down, retraced all the way back up, closing above 50% of the long green candle. So it looks healthy, but I don't think we're out of the woods yet. We may need some consolidation, but you never know, as tomorrow is the open, and it could just open up and run for the highs. There's a 5 hour. Lots of gaps. Looks like a V bottom. Look for some more consolidation maybe. But 25.50 on a 5 hour could be nice support. If it gets above there, and you can wait it out, see if it'll make a pop. Where's it going to go if it pops? Definitely bullish on a monthly chart, but it still could retrace all the way back down to 20 on a monthly chart. 21.50, the previous high. Last month's candle, 50% of that. It's about 22.70. Needs to get above these previous highs to continue the move. But it might need a couple months to consolidate above the 34 to make that move happen. Look for a break of 26, but wouldn't bet on it going to the moon unless it has a really, really strong volume. 27.55, you want to break that previous high. But we've got a couple weeks into the month, so see what happens. Whenever things move that quick and hard and they fall back, it usually takes some time to recover, but I haven't seen any bearishness in the gold or silver market, so look for a previous high break. On 26 to 26.15, lots of support on the daily, so look for another push maybe by the end of the month. See if we can get into previous highs. Same thing on the juniors. There's your weekly. Pretty nice. You can see at the beginning of the week, gapped up, closed all the way down, came down, and then closed all the way back up. That looks like a hammer, but look for previous low breaks, because the consolidation could easily fill in any kind of gaps in here. So I'll do a kind of like a short stair step on a 15-minute or something. Closing above, we got support on a 60-minute at 37.20 and 37.40, and between 37 and 36.50. Lots of gaps, lots of powerful moves here. You got a falling star, or a hanging man, hanging man right here on the 60-minute. Bounced right off the 8. Look for a previous high break of 38. But like I said, we can consolidate for weeks, just like silver did. Looks healthy. It just might not have enough juice to get up. Depends, though. I mean, these things are so bullish. Can't believe it. The monthly on the juniors, you can see as the 8 is crossing the 34, we might have to consolidate into it. So I don't know if we're out of the woods yet for the next couple weeks of the month, but this can just turn around and just boom, breaking previous highs at 46, 50, breaking in the previous lows all the way to 62 to 70. See if we can break these previous highs next week. Depends on how you open. If we open down, look for more consolidation. If we open up and it tries to shoot for a previous high break of 40, look for 45, and then onwards to 60 and 70. Looks pretty nice. Just may need some time to consolidate, is all. Nugget, same thing. It's like mirrors. One thing about this market, and someone asked me, how do I know that the market, the trend has changed? Well, one main reason is that 34 on a weekly. But another big reason is all these are going in unison. They're all doing the kind of the same thing across the market. Everything, the sector, everything's bullish. Just signaling a change of trend from bearish to bullish. Lots of money coming in. I imagine that a lot of people that were on the sidelines waiting for a pullback were buying in as support, and you can tell the bounce. So look for previous high breaks, and then if we open it down, look for more consolidation along that wick, this long wick. So the first bounce, and the second bounce, stair step, third bounce, stair step. It could happen. Stay above previous high. Stay above 50% rule, depending on your tolerance, but definitely stay above the previous low, which is that 8. Anything above the 8, we're going to follow that 8 all the way up. But in the meantime, there's a lot of room in here. Consolidate, 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 pop. Or this could be just a the beginning of the biggest bullish move you've ever seen in your life, where this pops, consolidates real quick, does a 1-2 punch. Haven't seen that in a long time in a long-term chart like this, but I mean these aren't bearish, that's for sure. Same with the junior nugget, JNUG, same thing. I mean, it's just a high flyer. Had the same move, the gap up, retraced all the way back into support, recovered. Lots of buyers right here. Lots of buyers bought in. Staying above previous highs. Staying above 50% of that long green candle. And you can see on a monthly, just barely on this one. This thing's such a monster, it's unbelievable. Just last month, we closed above our previous resistance, which is the 13. So we're definitely above and breaking into previous lows. We can use that 13 as support, as the retracement came back down into support and bounced hard. So on a monthly, on this one, I mean, what a monster. And I'm not even showing my 34 because it's basically a new issue. But breaking into this long green candle, look for a move. Such a big. Ultimately, I mean, 1600 or 600, where this meeting line is probably the ultimate goal on this thing. But watch breaking into this long green candle. As it cuts into it, we got above 200. You got a long ways to go. But breaking into 200 could get you 400. We got resistance at 300 and 240. But it looks very healthy on a monthly chart. As the retracement bounced right off support. Previous high break at 180. Wanted to go over some of the well, here's one that I heard on the Daily Coin, and it's Nevada Exploration, but it only trades in Canada. So for all you Canadians, here's one you might want to look at. Look at that chart. That's pretty badass. Breaking previous highs on a monthly chart could definitely break into previous lows, get you up to $1. 94 to $1. But that breakaway gap right there, gap, breakaway, it's going to make a flat top break. Very interesting. Just really nice. Look for some consolidation before the break. Usually doesn't break right away. You got a 1, 2. Look for a short U as it wants to break above. It looks like a nice chart. It looks very bullish on a weekly and definitely on a monthly. As you can see very clearly, it wants to just make a bust to 2. Looks really nice. And it is just getting going. There's no doubt about it. It has just started to move. I mean, you had a nice move all into support and then bounce with a runaway gap. Really nice. One chart I was looking over was this EGI, something that hasn't moved yet. But one thing I'm seeing is the moves that I like right across the 34. If I didn't catch it on support or on the break above the 34, if I didn't get it on support, I'm looking for a previous high break. And then some of them, if I even miss that, I look for a break, and then I look for a retracement back into support, which the flat top break was at 31. It made a run, and now it's coming back into support along its previous flat top break. So these are the kind of buy-ins that I like. If I miss everything else in here. This retracement is a bullish retracement. Back into support. It bounced. Looks like a nice move, but most importantly on the monthly, as you can see, it is breaking that monthly trend. Look for previous high breaks. 36 on up. Ultimate blue skies at 50. Something to look at. Looks like a great chart. Hasn't moved yet. Something to consider on any kind of breaks forward. Some of these can't say that it's not out of the woods yet. Here's First Majestic. Looks like we're running on a double top. This is a monthly chart. Ran into a lot of resistance into this area. Right? Got stopped out. And I can't say that this is not gonna want to retrace some more, consolidate, do like a stair step down, 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 into major support lines, or it can do what gold did and just have a high level consolidation. So look for previous low breaks. Previous low is at 936. So you got $1. And just look at the shorter term. Definitely a nice retracement as it broke down, bounced right off the 34 and closed above. But we are working off a double top on the 5-hour. Not sure if we're out of the woods on this one. Might need some more retracing. 60-minute. Did have a nice close. Definitely a nice close. Want to stay above previous highs. Previous high break is at 1072. Let's see. If it wants to break higher, look for resistance at between 30. Oh, look for resistance at 12. If it could get above 12, ultimate goal on this is 14. Into the previous lows over here. See if we can break into the previous low at 12 on, ride it all the way up into 14. So again, see where we open or we open up or down. One thing I wanted to go to is the ones that I'm holding. Quite honestly, this I bought this NAK as it broke out. It was retracing back into support, and I bought it in right around 40, I think 40 or 41. So I bought back into support. It did run, but since then it's been consolidating over the weekly. And last week during all the retracements, pulled down on low volume, which to me is still a bullish retracement. So I'm waiting for this thing, for the market makers to stop buying on the cheap and pulling it down as I'm waiting for them to jump on the ask and let it run. A good previous high break is at 44, I think. I want to get above 40. Closed poorly on its lows. So again, if this thing continues to go down, I'm just gonna I'm in for 3 points. I'm not worried about it right now, but I think it was on the 60-minute I was watching. Got a lot of reversal bars here. Reversal, you got an inverted hammer, we got a reversal bar, another reversal higher low, and then it closed above the 13. And that was like a after hours click. So I'm not sure if I'm going to take this last sale as legitimate or not, or some market makers is painting the tape. But it did close. I have to trust my charts. We got reversal bar, reversal bar, reversal bar, reversal bar, and then a bullish encompassing a lot of area here. But again, I can't trust the painting of the tape. I'm looking for it to fill the gap, and previous high break of 44. I still have faith in it. I bought it at the right time. It's just not doing what I wanted to do. And through time, if it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, then I'll probably sell it. But we'll see. I'm going to be patient on this because it is I bought into support here right around there, I think. So it did run. Bought it into support here. It did run, but it's just consolidating more, and it looks like all this is a retracement. Here's your gap, up, closing down, and it just went all week. No bounce like the others, so I was kind of frustrated. But again, if don't be ashamed to sell out, and don't necessarily follow what I'm doing, because I'm not always going to be right. I mean, hopefully this will open up, close this gap, and then I need to be above this previous high. And if I can't do that, then I'll end up selling, because I'm just not going to wait for it to recover. I'll wait for it to come back to the 44 and make a break. That's what I'll do. But it looks pretty healthy on the 60-minute. See how we open. Another one I own on free shares. So is this ASM. Nice bounce off the 34 on a daily. Nice retracement into support, closing above 50% of this candle. Well, not necessarily, I guess. But it did have a nice bounce. One thing I like about ASM is the monthly chart, as it is consolidating over that 34. And you can see the longer term reverse head and shoulders, as we're going to make a right shoulder here. Look for previous high breaks. But no telling how much more consolidation it'll need before it can make a momentum break. But so far so good. Nice bounce, closing in and around the 34 as support. Another one I own on free shares is Yamana Gold. You can see that typical gap up, close down, retrace on last week's move. Looks pretty healthy if we can get above previous high 480. Again, I can't tell if this needs more consolidation or if it's going to make a run. And to clarify that, let's go deeper and let's see a 60-minute. Lots of gaps. I'd hate to be day trading this. Look for a previous high break of 470, make a run to 5. Yeah, there's a bearish flag there. So did it complete? Looks like it wanted to. There's a reversal bar. Another down into support. Retrace. Nice. May need to cover these gaps. I don't know yet. We'll see. I just got free shares in it, so hopefully if I am free of my core and other things, I can take this previous high break and ride it to approximately 6 on AUI, where that meeting line is. So previous high break to 5. If I can gather my core and buy back in on the previous high break, right at the 6, gathering more free shares, I think I will do that. And the last one I own is on free shares is DNN, which is a uranium. I thought I'd do a lot better than this, but I sold out near the top after I saw the double top, waiting for it to gather its legs. It looks like it wants to come all the way back into support, but hopefully it'll bounce pretty hard. But again, it's not doing what I wanted it to do. It looked like to me it was going to have a nice pop and break into 80. I want to get above previous highs of 58. But again, it's just free shares. It looks like the downtrend on a monthly is breaking. So could I just sell it outright because it's not doing what I want it to do? I'm not sure yet. But as you can see, the higher lows and the bounce. Let's see if it could bounce here and make sure it stays above the 8 and the 13. And one thing about this long-term chart, the 8 is not closing closer into the 13. Crossing above is where I want the 8 to be. But so far so good, it's still at support. But nice hammer on a monthly, and that hammer is still working its thing. Previous high break at 50, that's where I bought it. I wrote it up to, I think, 66, and I sold it at like 64 or something. Letting my free shares ride, but it hasn't recovered since. So, see what happens. Those are the ones I'm holding. I'm not necessarily recommending any one of them. Please be careful to follow my actual trades versus some of the ones that I would recommend watching. Because when you trade with money, your emotions get the best of you, and sometimes you make mistakes. So the ones I'm not in, I'm not partial to, in other words. But the charts look great on some of these. Look for the ones that are just coming over that 34, making a flat top break, or buying into support, or anywhere you want to play it. But some of these just haven't run yet, so those are the ones I'm trying to find. And some of the ones that I thought would run, like NAK, they look pretty healthy for bottom moves. Definitely a previous high break of 70 would just pop it. And it looks poised, but here's a hammer off a monthly. So good higher lows, just waiting for this thing to punch free from previous lows. So it's stuck in between previous lows right now, in between the 8 and the 13 on a monthly. So again, not necessarily recommending them, just something to watch. If you decide to buy back into some of these that I'm trading, then more power to you. But I can't. I'm never going to guarantee any kind of dollars to riches. But that's all I got today. I wish I had more recommendations, but a lot of it is looking like it needs more consolidation. But if we open up and we run for those breaks, look for a very healthy week. That's all I can say, because these things are still bullish. Just need a little rest. And how much rest there is, I don't know. But thanks for watching. Appreciate all you guys sharing my stuff. Looks like my subscribers have jumped. Looks like I'll reach more than 100 subscribers within the month, which will beat last month's and the previous month's gains in subscribers, which I can't believe, but trading's fun, and day trading's for fools. And if you can learn how to swing trade, ride the intermediate waves, could last a long time in this market. And the reason why I'm accumulating, not necessarily buying in and holding, I'm riding the breaks, getting my free shares, and seeing how many stocks across the board I can accumulate during this next, I think it's going to be a few years, a good nice run in this miners. So that's where I'm at. That's how I am looking at it. I believe the trend has changed. We're just going through a little bullish retracement. Alright, I'll see you guys.